All right, welcome back. I have combed through the comment section for some choice words to share with you all. We'll kick things off with Eddie and Ozzy, who say the only problem with karma is there is none. There is no such thing as karma, champ. Okay, well, here's the thing. Anyone who doesn't believe in karma, and by karma I mean what goes around comes around. And we've already gone over how everything's a circuit and has to return to source. So what goes around has to come around as part of the cycle. Anyone who doesn't believe in karma either hasn't been hit hard enough by it, or if they have, they haven't connected it to something that they've done, meaning that they're oblivious to it, which is fairly common. And they certainly don't know anything about astrology, at least when it comes to Saturn, because Saturn brings the karma. So when it's time for your Saturn return, please come back and tell me if your view on karma has changed. As someone who's had plenty of karmic beatdowns, I can tell you with the utmost certainty that I have been able to connect them to things that I had done in the past. So I'm not going by information that somebody has told me. I'm going off of experience and observable truths, recognizing patterns and cycles, and off of my astrology knowledge. Now, you can deny karma if you wish, but that doesn't make you any less immune when it comes around for you. Sci-Fi Guy says, do you have to sell all knowledge for profit? No, absolutely not. And I don't. How many hundreds of videos do I have on this channel, all with free knowledge for you? How many programs do I have? Like a dozen? I mean, it's not even close. I give away far more free content and knowledge than I ever sell. I mean, my programs are on sale all the time, 24/7. It's online. They're always available. The only time you ever hear me talk about them is when I'm putting them on sale to make them cheaper and more affordable for you. And then that's when people complain. I had one guy try to shame me one time for selling spiritual knowledge. You're not supposed to sell spiritual knowledge. But I'm not selling spiritual knowledge. I'm selling magical knowledge for the most part. And there is a difference. And I told him, I'm not so worried about what you're going to be doing in the next life. I'm trying to get you through this one because you're obviously having a hard time with it. You focus on what's in front of you instead of what's down the road. And that's a problem with a lot of people. I think Yoda put it best in Empire Strikes Back when he told Luke that his mind was always on the future, but never his mind on where he was or what he was doing.
This one, a long time have I watched. All his life as he looked away to the future, to the horizon, never his mind on where he was, what he was doing.
But 9 times out of 10, people who are so concerned with me selling knowledge are just being cheap and don't want to compensate me for my work or time. With any other profession, they don't have a problem with them selling knowledge. But when it comes to a magician and knowledge and information that can change your entire life, well, now you have a problem paying for it. And my programs are marked down as far as I possibly can. I've made it affordable for everyone. And givers gain. You have to give to get. I mean, it's one of the reasons I put out so much free content. You have to give so much more than what you're charging for. So your question is faulty on its very premise. I don't sell all knowledge. I never have. And I've given away much more free content than I ever have developed programs for. Wood Shredder says, I have a question regarding summoning angels and demons. When someone summons an angel or demon, is there a debt or something you have to do in return for their help? Yes and no. The most important thing to do when summoning either an angel or a demon is to have your purpose line up with their office. That is to say, what you want them to do needs to align with what they're capable of doing, what they're known for doing. That's first and foremost, because if it doesn't, they'll refuse to do it and they'll be annoyed. And I speak from experience on that. It was, just a year ago when I did an operation to attempt to heal my cat of cancer. And I was told no, that their office of healing did not extend to animals. So that's the first thing you got to get right. You have to make sure that your purpose aligns with their capabilities. Now, when it comes to angels, angels aren't so much worried about what you can do for them as they are on your purpose aligning with the greater good. So not only do you need to align your purpose with their office and their capabilities, but you have to also align it with the greater good. You can't be asking for things out of selfishness and greed. You can't be trying to get them to do things for you out of evil intent, because they'll either flat out refuse or they'll bring things about in a manner that teaches you a profound lesson. For this reason, many people don't like working with angels because they can be a bit restrictive. It's not that they're harder to work with. They're probably easier to work with. It's just that a lot of people don't want to align their intentions up with the greater good so that the angel will work with them. While demons, on the other hand, are the exact opposite. They're very interested in what you can do for them. And it's always advised when you're doing an evocation to have something to offer. I wouldn't evoke a demon without something to offer them. And they're not as concerned with lining up your intention with the greater good. They could really care less about that. As long as it's within the capabilities of their office, then you're good. Again, I go over all of this in The Laws of Magic Volume 2 about employing spirits, which, by the way, is on sale right now, but may not be by the time this reaches YouTube. So I have gone over this before. David Jones says his old voice is back. And somebody else made that comment also. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You guys want to leave your comments down below and let me know if you like the old voice or the new voice better. But it's interesting because part of my anosmia has been coming back. You know, my nose blindness, as it's called, you know, the loss of sense of smell. But not completely. It's kind of like some days are better than others. Some days I won't be able to smell anything, but then other days I can. And I just went and seen my ENT about it last week because my concern was I really don't want to have another surgery. And he said he doesn't want to do that either. And it's just one of those things that's hard to correct. And sometimes it goes away for a while and then it comes back. You just have to do your best to keep polyps from forming. And he told me something that I didn't know before, which were that the polyps that cause anosmia are themselves caused by sinus allergies. And my biggest allergy is cats. And I have a bunch of cats. But he wants to try a new medication on me that just came out, where I give myself a shot every 2 weeks. I mean, it's brand new. It's still in pretty much the guinea pig phase. But he says it's working wonders in people, not just for anosmia and their sinuses, but for other problems as well that they've been having with their breathing, their skin, all kinds of things. But he gave me some samples, which I had to go back and pick up today. And I'll be taking the first dose tonight. And I'll just have to see what it does. Hopefully it won't change my voice or anything. So as a fellow Missourian, I now have someone to blame for flooding my backyard and killing my flowers. Thanks, Frater. Oh, you are most welcome. Yeah, I do feel a little bit of guilt for that. I am very, very hesitant to call the rain because every time I do, it either floods or trees get knocked down or something. But yeah, it sounds like you made out okay if all you lost were flowers. There's many people on my very street that lost everything. So I won't be calling the rain anytime soon. This is in response to the top 5 occultists of all time. ZJ writes, what about E.A. Coetting? And I say, shh, you don't speak his name because you don't want to summon Coetting.
I'm calling on you. I'm calling on you.
You're about to learn secrets that most people will never know about godlike power. I'm E.A. Coetting, creator of the most powerful occult movement in the world called Become a Living God. You'll get uncensored access to my hardcore live rituals, Magus interviews, video podcasts, and video blog. You're going to learn rituals that will awaken your...
I wonder where Carol R. Poke Runyon would rank in an overall list. That's a good question. Poke Runyon is best known for his dark mirror techniques and modifications with Goetic operations, creating his own circle design, changing some astrological correspondences around with the correspondences of the spirits on the master mandala, things of that sort. So he's more of a technique and tweak guy, which there's nothing wrong with that. He's widely known for his techniques and his improvements. And he's certainly one of my personal favorites, but I wouldn't put him at the top of an all-time greatest list. Perhaps he would round out my top 10 or just outside of it, because as much as he's done, I still feel that there's others who have contributed more to the overall field. So, no disrespect to Carol Runyon. I love Poke Runyon. Got one from Bay who says, "Love you, Frater, but..." You're wrong on this one. I recommend ODD TV's Flat Earth Trilogy. I guarantee if you look into it, you'll find out the truth. But what if I don't want the truth? What if I don't care? And you could be right. I may be wrong because I don't have firsthand experience. I haven't been up to space and looked down upon the Earth. I'm not an astrophysicist. There are much brighter minds than mine when it comes to Earth sciences. But that said, I've never heard a flat earther say why it matters. Like, how has it affected them personally? Because the only change that I've ever seen a flat earther make once they've accepted flat earth theory is a negative one, an obsession, where that's all they dwell upon, and then it casts them in a negative light with other people who then stigmatize them as being nuts. That's the only thing that changes from what I've seen. So my point was that it doesn't matter if we're on a ball of rock hurling through space around the sun, or we're living under a heat lamp in an oversized petri dish. You can't change anything. We can't change that. Whichever one it is, it doesn't matter. There's nothing we can do about it. And I don't dwell on that which I cannot control. So unless you're a scientist whose field correlates to flat Earth and studies of the Earth, then I would advise not dwelling on it, because I see a lot of flat earthers get obsessed and end up wasting their time. And an obsession is never good, no matter what that obsession is. An obsession is the inability to prevent certain thoughts. You can't get something out of your mind. And it's almost always to that person's detriment. All right, so this one was on the, is your karmic debt about to come due? Chaotic Shaman writes, I really hope not, because I'm 29 years old. I'm a blind man, and I'm a Capricorn whose planet is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is really hard on Capricorns. Well, Saturn is hard on everyone. It's actually easier on sun sign Capricorns, particularly later in life. It says, I suffer from a lot of gastric, intestinal, and esophageal problems, and I'm so desperate to ask anyone if magic can help or reverse what I have. Well, magic can always help. Whether or not it can reverse something is, all depends on what that thing is. He says he wants to cure himself of the disease because he has a daughter who's only 1 year old. She is the first child, and she needs him. Being blind doesn't make magic any easier. Since I don't really have money, it makes it hard for me to take magic courses and classes. The only thing that I could possibly think of is to ask the Archangel Raphael for help. Yeah, you can certainly do that. You can ask Raphael for help. He's a good one. But it's still going to be difficult if you're blind if you don't know what his sigil is. Magic in general is going to be difficult for you being blind. So when it comes to the blindness, were you blind at birth? Or was it something that happened later? Because that does matter. Because if you're blind at birth, you don't have any real reference for what something looks like, which I presume would make visualization more difficult, if not impossible. Whereas if blindness occurred later in life, then you know what things look like to be able to visualize them clearer in your mind's eye. Because visualization for you is going to be extremely important if you're blind. And of course, I always talk about visualizing yourself as you would wish you to be while turning up the gratitude. You wrote that at this point in your life, you're desperate, but desperation magic is the worst magic. It's the hardest to perform. When you're desperate, you cannot forget about the magic you've done for it to manifest. So you never want to approach magic in a state of desperation. It just doesn't work. As for your gastric, intestinal, and esophageal problems, they have medication for that. And they aren't that expensive either. You can even get them over the counter without a prescription. You can get them probably cheaper with a prescription, but you can get things over the counter. I know some people get weirded out about the thought of getting on medications, pharmacia, and all that. But from what you're telling me of your symptoms, you may want to discuss with your doctor about getting on a PPI, like Prilosec, which is a omeprazole, basically. I know some people are dead set against those, but I've taken them before, and I know other people that have taken them long term without any issue. It just reduces the amount of stomach acid you have, so you don't have that bubbling up all the time, which is literally dissolving your esophagus. Stomach acid is highly corrosive. It will eat through your flesh. You cannot let that go on. And if you leave it untreated, my ENT told me that it can lead to cancer from the trauma that it's causing. Again, I'm not giving out medical advice. You do want to discuss this with your doctor, but you may be one of those people that a PPI is the best solution for. All right, and I appreciate the question. Thank you. And that will do it for today. But before we go, I want to give shout outs to all of our top patrons over at Patreon and Subscribestar, whose generosity brings you these videos. Ahmad Rashid, Andrew Baucamp, Bardan, Howard Wolf, J. Dodge, Yadiva Montalegre, Jeff Montes, Joseph Gurman, Justin Sanders, Liam Niedrich Jr., Matthew Della Garza, Nick Giacara, Rafik Kanovic, Justin Mai, Kevin Johnson, and a few who don't wish to be named. Thank you so much for your generous support. You really are making a very big difference on this channel, and I appreciate it very much. And I want to thank all of you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like and share it if you did, as to help others find it so they can enjoy it as well. Visit mindandmagic.com for Mind and Magic programs and merch. And keep sending in your photos. Here's one of someone enjoying their orange ball manifestation. And I will see you next time. Take care.